Hi everyone. Today we're going to do our final draft of our research reports. And I'm super excited to read all of your writing. And I know we've been working really hard on this for the past couple of weeks. So this is really exciting to finally be doing our final research report. So the things that you will need today are your rough draft that we worked on last time and your animal research report paper. Again, I know that these are in the same packet, so if you want to separate them from the staple so that they can be side by side, that might be helpful so that they're kind of like mine are side by side like this. So, we are going to write the report, and it's going to be a few different paragraphs. So, when we write multiple paragraphs, we need to have an indentation, right? That's what this looks like here. This big space, that's called an indentation. And sometimes in school, we could call that our finger space because you put two or three of your fingers down, and then we start our paragraph from there. So, when we're writing a research report, or any paper with more than one paragraph, it's really important for us to use those indentations so that we know that a new paragraph is starting. So we are going to write one, two, three, four, five different paragraphs. Okay. So you're going to indent how many times? Yes, 5 times. Okay. So I'm going to show you how I wrote mine, and I'll give you a few examples, and then I want you to go ahead and try it on your own. And then when you are all done, remember that your final draft is due on Friday, but you can upload it to Seesaw whenever you finish. Okay, I can't wait to read them. So I'm going to start, of course, with the introduction. Okay, if I read my notes, I did a pretty good job on the rough draft in terms of making it nice and short and making sure that I answered these questions. Describe what your report is about in 1 to 2 sentences. Okay, so if we reread it, we can see that I answered, oh, it's about the three-toed sloth, and I even included those very specific categories, right? We got these categories from our notes when we say we learned about the appearance, diet, behavioral characteristics, enemies, and many other interesting facts about the sloth. So that's really important to organize the rest of my paragraphs because remember, like we talked about last time, then we get into this paragraph and we talk about appearance and diet. Oh, interesting. So that's where we learn about that. And then in our next paragraph, we learn about behavioral characteristics and enemies. And then in our last paragraph, we learn about the interesting facts. So I'm going to decide that that's a really strong sentence. That means it's a really good writing. It is my best work, and I'm going to keep it. Okay. So let's check out my first paragraph. My first paragraph, which is my introduction, is very similar to my rough draft. Okay. It's nice and short. It tells me two things. It tells me what was my animal, and secondly, what were all the categories that I researched? Okay. What specifically about the sloth am I going to talk about in this paper? Because we could talk about pretty much anything when it comes to animals. We could write a whole research report just about what they eat or just about their behavioral characteristics. But in this research report, I'm going to talk about all these things. Okay. So make sure when you're writing your introduction, you introduce your categories that we talk about. So if we move on to my next paragraph, that's my first informational paragraph, okay? So in this one, we're describing the two categories of the appearance and the diet. So I can take, if I feel really confident about what I wrote in my rough draft, I can go ahead and basically write that in my final draft. I could also add a little bit more detail. I could add maybe a transition word if we remember that. I could maybe add some more adjectives, right? I could say sloths are green, brown, furry, and fuzzy. Okay, I could add just a little bit more to make it my really, really best work. So this is how I edited my first paragraph. Okay, remember that we need to indent. So these funky little arrows here, these are just my way of showing you how to indent. If I were to delete it, it would be a perfect indent, right? So those arrows are just there for you to see and to remind yourself after every chunk, right? After every bit of our rough draft, we're going to indent to make a new paragraph. So let's read about my first paragraph. First, I learned about the sloth's appearance and diet. Okay, so I already can stop there and see that that is different from what's in my rough draft. This sentence is very important because it tells you what this particular paragraph is going to be about, right? So we talked about all the categories that the entire paper are going to have, but in the first sentence of my first paragraph, I'm going to use the word first, comma, because it's a transition word. I learned about the sloth's appearance and diet. And then I go on to tell you all about the appearance and the diet. And this is pretty similar to, if not the exact same, to what my paragraph over here is, right? So the only thing I really added there was a transition word and a topic sentence is what we call this. This is a topic sentence. And it tells the reader what this particular paragraph is all about. It's all about the appearance and diet. Okay, and it's true that I learned it and I'm reporting back my informational research. So make sure when you're writing this paragraph, right, your first paragraph that is describing the appearance and diet, you tell the reader, first, I learned about the sloth's appearance and diet. We also need to say that, and I know it sounds repetitive because we've been working on this a lot, but we also need to say that because over here on our rough draft, we have what are like labels, right? It says, hey, please describe the appearance and diet of your animal. And then that's what we did. Over here in my final draft, it doesn't say that. So I need to say it instead. I just need to add something else in there. Remember that we're pretending like whoever reads this doesn't know anything about either A, our project, or B, the animal that you're researching. So we want to be really, really clear with our person who's going to read this. We want to make sure that they know all these different categories. So let's see how we can do this second paragraph. If I put first here, what might I put in my second informational paragraph? Let's see what I put. I put next. You could also say second. You could also say another topic I learned about is. You could say any of those transition words that we've been working on. And I'll go ahead and give you a list of those again so we can just reference them and you guys can pick any of the ones that might sound good. But I do need that transition word again, right? Because I'm starting a new paragraph and I need to indent, right? I need to have my indent, my finger space, and then I need to have my topic sentence. So next I learned about the sloth's behavioral characteristics and enemies that it has. That's my topic sentence right here, right? It's telling the reader what my next paragraph is going to be about. And that's why I use the word next. So here I just put sentence starters. I didn't write out the full paragraph because I want you guys to be able to have plenty of time to work on yours. But you can totally use these sentence starters. The blanks behavioral characteristics are, some enemies include, and the sloth or your animal defends itself by. Okay. Remember to go in the same order that we did in your rough draft because we talked about how we want to start out with who the enemies are and then what the defense mechanism is. Okay, so I use the word next. I have my topic sentence. It looks pretty good to go. Okay, we're going to take a look at these last two and then you'll work on yours. Let's take a look at the last two paragraphs and then you will have a turn to try it on yours. So for the third informational paragraph, I use the word lastly. Now, this isn't my conclusion paragraph, but it's the last of the categories that I am covering about this animal. So I said, lastly, I learned some interesting facts about the sloth. Now, if I didn't have this topic sentence here, it would just jump right in. One interesting fact about the sloth is, and my reader might be wondering, well, where did that come from? So we kind of have to put in this final sentence here just to say, now I'm going to tell you the interesting facts. The interesting facts are, and then you can go ahead and fill in all those cool facts that we learned. I know that you have lots of them, so that maybe that paragraph is longer, and that's okay. So then our very last paragraph is the conclusion, okay? The conclusion, I need to write the words in conclusion. Well, because my research report is ending, right? I'm concluding it. It's a big fancy word for it's the end, right? It's over. So, in conclusion, sloths are very interesting animals. Okay, I can see that's pretty similar to my rough draft. Okay, I chose this animal because since some species of sloth are endangered. That sounds kind of funny. Let's edit it. I chose this animal. I don't think I need because and since, do I? I chose this animal since some species of sloths are endangered, and it is important to help animals that are endangered. So that's a little different from my rough draft, right? In my rough draft, I said, I chose this animal because I thought it would be important to learn about since some species of sloths are endangered. So I kind of elaborated, which means I said more. I added more detail about why that was important. So again, you don't need to copy your exact sentences. We're our best writers when we kind of change it and make it a little bit different. And then my last sentence is, I hope you enjoyed learning about sloths from my research. And I put an exclamation mark just to say, yay, the end. So I hope that this helps you write your final draft of your animal research report. I will give you a copy of this so that you can kind of see it and look at it while you write yours. Remember to use your transition words like first, next, and last. Remember to have in conclusion at your very last paragraph. And definitely remember to use your indentation, okay? Indent after every single paragraph that you write. I can't wait to read your writing and let me know if you have any questions.